Thank you, Megan. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. When I was creating this PowerPoint and kind of doing a dive into the research behind resetting and simplifying, I was the same way. I was like, this is something that I needed for myself as, a working mom, not just individuals with memory loss, but I think we all can take some takeaways from resetting this new year.
And as we make
Um,
it kind of personalized, Tracy, I also want to highlight that if you guys have questions for Tracy, she's here live. So put them into the chat and we'll ask her at the end of the session as you guys see things that really highlight or are meaningful to you. Let us know in the chat because we want to interact and make this something that's meaningful for what your intentions are this year. So go ahead, Tracy, kick us off.
yeah. So, we're going to be talking a little bit about walking away from some of the noise and focusing on what really matters in 2024. And I know that's kind of like a big intro, but we'll dive into it and take it a little by little. So, I want you to grab a pen and paper if you have one nearby. If not, you can open your phone or just think to yourself. But I want to encourage you in 2024, just like any year, but especially as we walk into this new year, to go easy on yourself. I want you to think about what is most important to you, whether that is your health or being present for your family. Maybe you have family that you want to be sure that you're there for and able to participate in activities with. Maybe what's most important to you is staying active for as long as possible, or your faith, whatever that might be, whatever is most important to you. I'm going to think about it, jot it down, and keep it on the forefront of your mind. I also, as you go into the new year, want you to give yourself permission to slow down and to make mistakes. I think in today's world, we are so set on going as fast as we can and getting as much done as we can and, keeping up with the Joneses. But I want to encourage you to give yourself permission to slow down, to not be as caught up in the hustle bustle as maybe you were in the past or have been since um, things have kind of gone back into high gear post pandemic, and give yourself permission to make mistakes. When I was looking things up, I saw a quote that said, give yourself grace because not everything blooms year round. And I know that seems kind of like, you know, flowery, but I think it's very true. We are always on go and never giving ourselves permission to just sit back and rest or to make those mistakes that are inevitably going to happen when we're running on all cylinders at all times. So that's my encouragement to you. And as we're thinking about that, I want us to think about stress. So stress is my why to bringing this topic up. When Megan was talking about how our January newsletter was going to be based on goals and the new year and things like that, I wanted to emphasize that it's okay to not have a huge New Year resolution or have this huge expectation for 2024. I think we put this stress on ourselves, or let, other people put stress on us that isn't necessarily as important, maybe, as some of the other things. Who defines stress as a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation? And I want to emphasize that stress is natural. It's going to happen. We're all going to be stressed at some point or another. Our health is going to cause us stress, or our family's health is going to cause us stress, or the traffic in Atlanta is going to cause us stress. So it's inevitable. It's something that we're all going to deal with. But there's a lot of research that we're going to dive into on how stress can negatively affect your body and specifically your brain health. So, stress, if perceived as intense, repetitive, or prolonged, can have a maladaptive effect on all systems of our body. So, we can start to see things like increased heart rate and blood pressure, chronic fatigue, and poor sleep. a weakened immune system. I know a lot of people are probably feeling that right now. I feel like there's sickness everywhere. Poor concentration and irritability, and then muscle tension and headache. So if we're in this high stress environment, we're living on all cylinders all the time, we're trying to take care of ourselves and everybody else, then our body is living in a fight or flight environment. Our cortisol levels are high in our body. Our immune or our central nervous system is always on high alert, and your whole body is going to feel that. Your brain's going to feel it. Your heart is going to feel it. Your immune system's going to feel it. Even your muscles are going to feel it. When we're specifically talking about brain health and stress, there is, of course, research on acute short-term stress being beneficial to memory making. So this is more of like the upcoming test that we're studying for can be beneficial in causing that positive stress response and making it easier to make new memories. However, chronic stress can lead to atrophy of the brain and a decrease in its actual weight. So not only are we seeing things like trouble concentrating or irritability or trouble retrieving those memories, but we're seeing like physiological changes in brain matter as we're living in that chronic stress, high cortisol, fight or flight response for a prolonged period of time. Directly, the hippocampus was looked at in several of the studies that I looked at. And that represents the highest response level to stress. And our hippocampus, coincidentally, is responsible for memory and the conversion of long-term memories. So not necessarily that memory making, but like retrieving memory. So thinking about, if you have 101 things to do, that's when maybe you'll walk into the living room and forget why you walked in there, or forget where you had the keys when they're in your hand. I know we've all done that. But kind of that more memory retrieval is what's going to be hindered. And then the conversion from short-term memories into those long-term memories can also be affected. So I want to encourage you, as we're thinking about toning down some of the stress in our life, hopefully stepping down or stepping away from some of those things, we're going to first look at your space. So when I talk about your space, I'm talking about wherever you're living, maybe your car, wherever you're spending time. We can think about simplifying our space to ease some of that stress. The main things I want to emphasize are decluttering, donating, reorganizing, and prioritizing. So first, that's going to look at decluttering things that you're not necessarily using. So if you have 8 cast iron skillets at your house, maybe you don't need all 8, or you have a whole bunch of craft supplies, and maybe you don't do I'm using my own examples here. And maybe you don't do crafts as much as you would want to. You could declutter some of that. Anything that's causing or taking up extra space wherever you're spending your time is causing chaos in your brain. So your brain, as you're moving about your house or moving about, in your car, if you're having to look through a whole bunch of stuff that you're not using, then you're causing extra stress, rather than if you had a decluttered closet of things that you're only currently wearing, not the jeans that you haven't fit into in the last 3 years, then it'll make the decision making a lot easier. So removing some of that visual clutter from your environment can really, really be helpful. And then once you do declutter, donating those items or getting rid of them. Sometimes I think we declutter and then just store it for later, or keep it in a bag somewhere, or put it under the sink and just kind of rearrange it. But decluttering it and then getting it out of your space altogether can make a really big impact. There's a saying about how your space, your physical space impacts your mental space, and it's very true. Whatever you're seeing, if your eyes are physically overstimulated, you're going to feel that in your day to day. You're going to feel overstimulated if you have a whole bunch of things to look at that are just making decision making or finding things even harder than it needs to be. And then once you are decluttered and down to what you need or are using, I want to encourage you to reorganize. And we'll go over this a little bit more on the next slide, but just really prioritizing what you use, how you use it, how frequently you use it, and where you use it. Go to the next one. So again, if you have not used it in the last year, donate it. You probably don't need it. You probably won't use it again this year. Anything that you're using frequently, let's say you have a coffee cup that is your favorite coffee cup, you drink your coffee out of it most mornings. I want you to move those things to an easily accessible height and keep them there. So if you have a shelf, you open your cabinets and you have 3 shelves, those cups and plates that you use most frequently, move them down to the bottom one so they're right there at eye level. If you have your spice cabinet and you have all 300 of your spices in one area and they're all kind of crammed in there, I want you to move your garlic powder, your salt, your pepper, those things that you use most frequently down to eye level and put them right in front so that they're easy to find. The less overwhelm you can create in your physical environment, the less overwhelmed you're going to feel. Utilizing containers and bins for storage can also be really helpful, whether it's in your closet, putting sweaters or hats or, whatever you're storing in your closet, keeping it in bins so that it's easy to get out, easy to find, can help ease some of that stress. And then just containers for things so that everything has a spot. If you have a drawer that has, your catch-all, all of your things in it, adding small containers so that you have a container for pens, a container for paper, a container for paper clips, whatever it is. But utilizing containers and bins to help keep things organized so that everything has a home and you know exactly where to find it when you need it and where to return it whenever you're done with it can help simplify your space. So again, it's one less thing that you're having to think about. And then of course, keeping your floors clear. Anytime that you have clutter in your floor, it number one is a trip hazard and we don't want anybody falling. But number two, again, is adding to that visual clutter. So as you're walking through your house, if you have 100 things sitting next to your front door, then again, it's just visual clutter, adding to the stress. So keeping that clear, one, for your safety, but two, for your sanity. The next thing we're going to talk about is simplifying your routine. And I think this is where we can overcomplicate things. So I want to encourage you to automate where you can. On the next slide, we're going to look at some of the technology that can help you automate things. And I want to encourage you to plan your week with built-in rest days. I think, go into weeks sometimes and think that this is how things need to be done, or, this is what I need to do this week. But in reality, we are our own best advocate. And we have the ability to build in rest days. So if you have a very busy Monday, maybe you're running to a doctor's appointment and have your granddaughter's ballet recital and a family dinner that you have to cook for all on Monday, maybe build in a rest day for Tuesday and Wednesday and intentionally do not schedule anything and wait until Thursday until you schedule another event. Just give yourself that grace to slow down and take care of yourself however needed. And plan activities when you feel your best. If you feel your best in the morning, then plan your activity in the morning. Plan your doctor's appointments in the morning. Or instead of grabbing dinner with friends, maybe go grab brunch or coffee. And then I want to encourage you to alternate energy consuming activities with lighter ones. So if you have again, using the example from before, you have a doctor's appointment in the morning, and then you have your granddaughter's ballet recital. Instead of maybe planning a big family dinner for after that, maybe you could just go get lunch somewhere so that you're just having to go and sit there and socialize instead of having to cook a whole meal. So alternating activities so that you're giving your body that time to rest can make a big difference. And then saying no when it serves you best. I think we all are probably culprits of this one because we're in such a fast-paced society and keeping up with everybody. I think sometimes we feel the pressure of saying yes to every opportunity that comes up. And especially, again, post-pandemic, we went a couple of years without seeing our loved ones or engaging in all of the many events that are available. And so I think now we are more apt to feel obligated to attend things or say yes when, maybe if on Saturday you're not feeling your best, you're not sick, but you're just tired from your week, maybe it's best to stay home and not, spend the extra energy going wherever you need to go. By all means, I'm not saying to stop doing things because I want you to stay as active as possible, but I want you to give yourself the opportunity to say no if that's what's best for you in that instance. So when it comes to automating some of the things in your routine, one of the things that you can do to simplify is creating a to-do list. My grandma went through chemo, and when she did, she of course was very forgetful and was having trouble with even her daily routine. And so we made her a to-do list and we wrote it with a dry erase marker. Dry erase markers can be erased from mirrors if you need it. So we took a dry erase marker and wrote it on her bathroom mirror, her morning routine. So brush your teeth, brush your hair, take a shower, everything that she needed to do in the morning. We wrote it on her mirror so that she had to go through and physically check it off. Not because we didn't think that she was going to brush her teeth, but because she had so much going on that was one less thing that she had to think about. So she didn't have to, it's pretty automatic. Your morning routine is probably pretty automatic. But if you can get one thing off of your plate so that you're not having to go through the mental checklist of everything that you need to do to get ready for bed or everything that you need to do in the morning and automate it, put it on the mirror so that the mirror is telling you what to do, then you can take that load off of yourself and put it on something else. The same kind of idea with a calendar or planner. Obviously, you're not always with your bathroom mirror, but if you use a calendar or planner, I am a pencil and paper type of person, so I always have my spiral bound planner. But if you use a calendar or planner and write things down, then you and whoever you're with, all of your loved ones, know exactly what to expect. So if you put, next Saturday, this is what all I have, you can go into Friday knowing exactly what you have coming up and you can plan better. You can, again, take that mental load off so you're not having to constantly remember, I have an appointment at 2 and I need to take a thank you card to the post office. If you have it written down, you're automating that task and one more thing off of your plate. If you have a smartphone, bonus points, because you can use your calendar built into your smartphone and have it set alarms for you. So if you have an appointment at 2 p.m. tomorrow, you can set an alarm for 1 o'clock, just as a reminder to go ahead and get the ball rolling, get ready, you have an appointment at 2 p.m. That way things don't sneak up on you. And again, everybody's on the same page and you know what to expect and have those reminders. That way, again, it's not on you. A medication management system, I think, is really important. Just as added accountability. I encourage everybody, no matter if you have mild cognitive impairment or no memory problems at all, to have a medication management system in place, just because you have something to fall back on. If, you use just a typical 7-day pill organizer, if you take your medicine in the morning and that box is empty, there's no question. There's no question on if you took your heart medicine that day, whether or not you took it. And so again, one more thing that you're not having to rack your brain, go back through your morning routine and figure out, did I take that medicine this morning? Because it's automatic. It's something that you're not always necessarily thinking about. So having something that takes that off of your mind and takes care of it for you can be a really good way to help simplify. Alexa or Google Home also can help with this. Those similar to your phone can be a good way to use a reminder or to pull up a recipe or, just see what the weather is for the day. So again, with those, you would say, hey, Google, remind me at 1:00 that I have an appointment. Or, hey, Google, what's a recipe for macaroni and cheese? Or, whatever it might be. It's just anything that you can use to kind of help assist you throughout your day so that you're taking the pressure off of yourself. You are giving it to something or someone else to remind you to do later. That way you're not having so much on your plate at one time. You can just set your alarm, think about it at 1:00 when the alarm goes off. There's also something called Reminder Rosie. I have been recommending this more and more to patients that I've seen because it is a clock that you can get on Amazon, and you can set reminders in your own voice. So, if you're like me, when your alarm goes off in the morning, it doesn't mean much to you. You hit snooze and, you get up later. But Reminder Rosie is in your voice or a loved one's voice, and it tells you exactly what to expect. So instead of just a ding, 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 and who really knows what that alarm is for, Reminder Rosie would come on and say, it's 1:00, you have an appointment at 2. So it's very personalized. Or it could say, hey, Dad, take your heart medicine with some oatmeal. If you have medicine that needs to be taken with food. It can be very personalized and very direct so that you know exactly what that alarm is for. There's no question about it. There's no, I know I set this alarm for 1:00, but what did I set it for? It can just be very helpful in taking the guesswork out of it all. So Reminder Rosie is a really good one. And then lastly, I want to encourage you to simplify your thoughts. This has a lot to do with the routine that we talked about. But anyway, I know that you all have a lot going on. I know that whether you are someone that was recently diagnosed with cognitive impairment, or you are a care partner or loved one of somebody that was diagnosed, you have a lot that you're thinking about. You have a lot that you're thinking about and planning for, and trying to make sure that you don't miss, and medications that you have recently been prescribed, and birthdays coming up, and all kinds of things. So any way that you can take some of that load off of your brain and put it somewhere else, give it to somewhere else, is going to be helpful. So brain dumping, when something comes to mind, if you are laying awake at night and thinking about, I have 100 things to do tomorrow, and I need to call the doctor, and I don't really know what I'm going to do about this, and, all of the things, I want to encourage you to just sit up, or if you're not, laying down, wherever, and just take a piece of paper and write it all down. That way you're not thinking about it anymore. You can come back to it later. Just brain dump, write down everything that you're thinking about, and come back to it when you're ready to think about it. And I want to encourage you to delegate when you can. I know that this is hard. I know that we as humans want to be independent. We don't want to rely on somebody. That's not fun. But if you can improve your brain health, maintain your brain health by taking a load off and asking somebody else to come fill your pill box every Saturday, or get a 30-day pill box and have somebody come fill your pill box once a month. Or having somebody that is in charge of making sure that your bills are paid, or having somebody that is in charge of doctor's appointments. Just delegating smaller tasks wherever you can, whenever you can, so that it's one more thing that's off of your plate so that your brain can freely think about, how to live and how to make it to the end of the day. Take notes so that you don't have to remember every detail. I think especially when it comes to our health, we try to research everything that we can. We want to remember every detail of every doctor's appointment. We want to do everything that our OT tells us that we need to do. And it can be overwhelming. I mean, the individuals that we see at CEP, we tell them to exercise and all of the things that they can and cannot eat and all of the home safety features, and it can be a lot. And so I want to encourage you to take notes so that you do not have to remember everything. And if you're in like a doctor's office or in a meeting that you want to remember, you can use voice memos on your phone. There's a little app, but just record it. Record it so that you can go back and listen to it 100 times. If you have an important doctor's appointment and you know that you're going to be getting information or medication or whatever it might be, you can record it so that you can go back and listen to it later. And it's not something that you're having to later rack your brain about and try to remember what exactly did they say about X, Y, and Z. So take the pressure off of yourself and put it on something else. Let the notes that you're taking or the recording that you just recorded be your brain for the moment, and then come back and revisit it later when you have more mental capacity. And then most importantly, stop and breathe. I want to encourage you, like I mentioned before, to just slow down and take a deep breath. It's the world around us isn't going to slow down. So allowing ourselves to slow down, to take a deep breath can be what it takes to get through the end of a day. So again, I just want to reiterate, my goal for you in 2024 is that we all go a little bit easier on ourselves. We focus more on what is important to us, whatever that might be, and we give ourselves permission to slow down, and we give ourselves permissions to make mistakes. And that's all that I have for you guys for today.
So I don't need it. Thank you so much, Tracy. It's really exciting to be inspired a little bit about some of these small changes that make a big difference, especially things like, I know in my house, in the past few weeks, we've never had Google Home until very recently. And putting some of the reminders has never occurred to me until recently. Things like take your medication, eat lunch and things like that. We have people in our program that the part of their brain that's being affected by changes in memory is the part that reminds them to eat. And so just those little reminders are so fantastic and go a long way. I asked in the chat if there's any spaces that people want to declutter in their own homes, and we got some feedback. Kitchen counter, that's a big one. Bathroom counters, clothes in the bedroom, that's a big one. Clothes. One of the people in the chat said a bridge is an AI app designed to record and transcribe doctor's appointments. I haven't used it yet, but I've heard good things. Thank you, Sophie. That's something I'm going to check out, a bridge. And we got some thank yous in the chat for all the important tips. So thank you so much, Tracy. I think it's nice to remember too that little changes over the next month or two can make a big difference. So thank you for those reminders, and thank you all so much for tuning in this week. I just wanted to let everybody know that in the month of January, we've got a lot of really good topics to look forward to at the neurology clinic here next door. at Executive Park, if you are someone who goes there or lives in the Atlanta area, one of the things that Dr. Law and Dr. Levy are really passionate about is after a diagnosis of memory loss, having goals that you set for yourself. So maybe you haven't set, a little time to sit aside and think about what that is going to be for you this year, but I encourage you all to do that. And just want to let you know that we've got some topics coming up in the next month to help support you with your goal journey. And I just want to share them really quick with you. These are some of the topics that we have coming up. Next week, we're going to be talking with Lise DeWitt, who is uh, our neuropsychologist on our team, about how to maintain cognitive health in the new year. She is a neuropsychologist who really specializes in memory support and workarounds, and she's going to be talking to us about how to support some of those things in the new year. Throughout the rest of the month, we're going to be doing a lot of working out in the month of January together. So I hope you guys are ready to get healthy. The 17th, we've got Tony doing a Get Active functional workout. We're going to be doing a little Tai Chi the next week and topping off the month with a little bit of yoga. So you guys can see there's a lot to look forward to this month. If you're wanting to make those small changes, we're here to encourage you. Small setbacks are just that. They're just small setbacks. We can always start over and begin again. So we'll be back with you guys next week to talk about continuing to support some of these small changes that we want to make for brain health. Tracy, thank you so much for all of your expertise and all of your encouragement today.
Of course. Thank you.
If you guys have any questions for us, the way that you can reach us, as always, is at our email address, empowerment@emory.edu. And I'm just going to put it up on the screen here. If there's anything that you are curious to know more about, if you want to know or reach out to any of our providers or send us an email, you can reach us all at empowerment@emory.edu. Thank you all so much. Happy New Year, everybody. So good to be together for another year of brain health. We will see you all back next week to talk a little bit about cognitive brain health in the new year with Lise DeWitt. And thank you all, whether you're new or you're coming back, please return to our YouTube page and check out some of our old videos there. We will see you all next week, everybody. Happy New Year. And thank you again, Dr. Tracy.